On this Greek and Hebrew grammar, I'm working in the Beatitudes, on this video, I should say, in Matthew chapter 5, the Beatitude, verse 9 and following. We'll be reading the Greek text and then reading a Hebrew translation by Delitzsch and working through the grammar. Our goal is to worship Christ, to getting to know Him in a deeper way and what He is teaching us and how we're to live. So the Beatitudes have to do with how disciples should live who are following Christ. We're to be poor in spirit, having a need of the Lord. We're to be mourning. If we mourn, we know we'll be comforted. Mourning for everything that we see going on in a life and around us, and how the Lord is put in almost last place. And the gentle are blessed, for they shall inherit the earth in eternity. And blessed are those who are hungering and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be pitied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall be pitied. And then blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Being able to turn our lives inside and out, being pure in our mind and in our heart. So now we're at verse 9. Makarioi hoi erena poioi poioi hateautoi huioi theu tlete santai. Happy or blessed are the peacemakers, because they shall be called the sons of God. Notice here, to make peace is so important, to be a peacemaker rather than a cause of conflict. For they shall be called, Pletes Santai is your future indicative passive, third person plural from Kaleo. They shall be called the sons of God. And then as we read the Hebrew of that text, uh, notice as we read it, Ashrei Rodefe Shalom, Ki B'nai Elohim Yikarehu. Happy are the ones who pursue peace. Rodefe is a cow participle, masculine plural, in construct with shalom. So the ones that pursue peace, for they shall be called the sons of God. Notice Yikarehu is from kara. It's a nifal imperfect, third person masculine plural from kara. So to be called to pursue peace is to be called the children of God. Then as we go to the next verse in the Greek and the Hebrew, notice Makarioi hoi dediogmenoi heniken dikaiasunes. Hati auton estin he basileia ton uranon. Happy are the ones who have been persecuted on account of righteousness, because theirs is the kingdom of the heavens. Blessed are those who have been persecuted. Didiogmenoi is a perfect passive participle, nominative masculine plural from dioko. Those who have been persecuted. Notice the accent in the penult, even though oi is short, it just goes back one space. That's how we know it's a perfect passive participial form. And then, because theirs is the rule of the heavens. So, if we are persecuted, on account of righteousness. Jesus said there's a happiness there, not on account of being unrighteous, but on account of trying to follow the Lord. So then we move on to the next verse in Hebrew. Ashrei hanirdafim al devar hatzedakah ki lahem malchut ha-shemayim. Happy are those who have been persecuted because of righteousness, tzedakah. For to them is the Malchut HaShemayim, the kingdom of the heavens. Notice here, nirdafim is a participle, a nifal participle, masculine plural from radaf. So happy are those who have been persecuted who, on account of al-devar, on account of tzedakah, righteousness, for belonging to them is the Malchut HaShemayim, is the kingdom of the heavens. Again, the Hebrew, a very clear rendering of the Greek. Then we move to verse 11. Makarioi este hatan enedisosin humas, kai dioxusin, kai eposin, pan paneran kath humon, pseudaminoi, hanaken amun. Happy are you when they should revile you and persecute you, and should say all evil against you, lying or falsely, on account of me. Notice again, happy are you or blessed are you whenever anedisosin is from anedidzo. It's the aorist subjunctive, first person plural from anedidzo. So happy are you when they revile you, and dioxosin, and they should persecute you. Another aorist subjunctive, third person plural from dioko, and should say, apomen, is the aorist subjunctive, third person plural from lego, all evil against you, pseudaminoi, lying on account of me. Pseudaminoi is a present middle participle, nominative, masculine, plural from pseudomai. So, in other words, Jesus is saying, happy are you, you can rejoice when you are persecuted, when you are reviled and persecuted and say all manner of evil against you on account of me. In other words, it's again on account of his name that he's emphasizing. Then as we move to the Hebrew, notice it says, Asrechem im yecharafu v'yirdefu etchem v'dabru v'sheker alechem kol ra ba'aburim. In other words, happy are you when they shall revile you. Yeharafu from haraf. I'm taking this as a PL imperfect, third person masculine plural from haraf. So happy are you when they revile you and persecute you. Vayirdafu from radaf. It's a cow imperfect, third masculine plural from radaf with a vav connective, and they shall persecute you, or vav conjunction, and shall say vidabru from davar. It's a PL imperfect, a third masculine plural from davar, again with the conjunction with the vav, and shall say with lying, or with a lie, against you all evil on account of me. Korah ba'aburi. So, again, the Hebrew is a very good translation of the Greek. Then we move on to verse 12, which will be the last passage here of the Beatitudes. Karate kai agaliaste hate hamistas kumon palus in tois uranois hutos gar edioxan tus prophetus tus prahumon. Rejoice and be glad, because your reward is much in heaven, for thus they persecuted the prophets which were before you. Karata is from Cairo. It is an imperative, present imperative, second person plural from Cairo. So rejoice and agaliaste, be glad. Here we have another imperative from agaliao or agaliaama, be glad, second person plural, from agaliaama, middle present in a imperative, because your reward is much in the heavens. For thus they persecuted hutos gar edioxan, the prophets which were before you. Edioxan is from dioko. It is your aorist indicative active third person plural from dioko. And then looking at the Hebrew of verse 12. Notice the Hebrew then reads, Simhu v'gilu ki sacharhem rav bashamayim ki chen, for thus radafu et ha-nevaim asher hayu lifnechem. That is, rejoice and be glad. Simhu is a cow imperative, second person plural from samach, rejoice, and the same way with the gilu from gil, another imperative, second person plural, rejoice and be glad, ki sacharhem rab, for your reward is much by Shemayim in the heaven. Ki chen radafu, for thus they persecuted et ha-nevaim, the prophets which were before you. Radafu is the cow perfect third person common plural from radaf. For thus they persecuted the Nevaim, the prophets, asher hayu lifnechem, which were before you. Notice hayu is from haya. It's the cow perfect third person common plural from haya. So the point that Jesus is making is if you suffer and are persecuted on account of his name, then one can rejoice. But notice the emphasis all the way through is on account of his name. So I've gone through the Beatitudes in previous videos. I've entitled it Christological Greek and Hebrew Grammar, and my goal is to worship Christ by using Hebrew or Greek and Hebrew grammar as a basis of taking me to the text to worship the Lord. And here we're worshiping Jesus as our great teacher, calling us as to how we're to live our lives as followers of Jesus Christ.